Yo and hello everybody, Mike here, Baseball Collector. Tonight I'm not doing a video about baseball, I'm not doing a video about cards. What I am going to do a video about is Spider-Man, one of the most revered and collected and popular characters in the Marvel Universe. And not just about Spider-Man in general, but more about Amazing Spider-Man and the history of this comic book. And the reason I'm doing this is because I have lately just been kind of going through my spreadsheet of all of my Spider-Man comics and trying to figure out what I had, what I was missing. And I was creating this master list of all of it. And I was thinking, this isn't adding up. And so I went on to YouTube to try to find a video that kind of explained all of the numbering of the Spider-Man comics and why they are. Because Spider-Man, like most titles in Marvel and DC, have had reboots and renumberings and all sorts of things over the years. And I was trying to get it all straight in my head and figure out where everything fit. And I couldn't find anything on YouTube. I searched and I tried and I couldn't find a video that summarized how all of the numbering worked. And so I wanted to do a video on it because I think it's interesting to hear the history of a title and how it got to where it is today from the beginnings. And so I couldn't find anything. So I'm like, I'm going to do that. And so I've spent some time kind of going through the Marvel history of Spider-Man to hopefully give you guys kind of this deep dive look into the Spider-Man lineage here, the Amazing Spider-Man lineage, and go through that. Hope you enjoy it. So here we go. Right now they are on Amazing Spider-Man number 834. And again, for the life of me, as I was going through my list, I could only come up with 796. And so I was like missing, where are the other 36 issues? And that's what led me on this journey. I was trying to figure it out. And so it all started back in March of 1963 with issue number 1. One of the most iconic and famous comic books in history. And pretty much it all stayed pretty normal for Marvel all the way up until issue number 441. And in that issue was in November 1998. And then some genius at Marvel, this guy right here, decided to revamp and rebrand Spider-Man. And so they started over at issue number 1. And so starts volume 2. Volume 2 goes on for 58 issues. Then, ironically, at kind of a legacy issue, number 500, let me explain what legacy issue is. It's an important term to understand as we talk through. Legacy issue refers to the number in the sequence from 1 to today, to wherever we are today. That's the legacy issue. They may restart it and rebrand it and repackage it and call it started issue number 1 again, but there's a legacy issue that number 1 corresponds to and throughout the whole run of each of the different volumes. So every time they restart at number 1, it's a different volume number. So again, 1 through 141 or through 441 is volume 1. Then they go to volume number 2 in December 1998. That goes on for 58 issues, like I said. Then, ironically, at issue number 500, legacy issue number 500, they decide to switch back to legacy numbering, meaning number 500. And you're like, well, where did all the ones go in the middle where they were 1 through 58 of volume 2? And that was when they just kept going from there, from 500 all the way to 700. So they kept the legacy going. And at that point, Spider-Man dies. Doc Ock, Dr. Octavius, Dr. Octopus takes over Peter Parker's body. And that happens in issue number 700. Then it gets kind of weird. This is where it starts getting weird for me and where I was missing some things. Because according to Marvel, legacy issues number 701 to 733 are actually issues number 1 through 33 of a new title called Superior Spider-Man. And that follows the exploits of Doc Ock as he is, inhabiting Peter's body and trying to be Spider-Man and all these different things. So that continues for 33 issues. Legacy issues 701 to 733. Then it gets okay, now at issue 734, Legacy issue 734, Volume 3 of ASM is launched. ASM stands for Amazing Spider-Man. So ASM is launched as part of another comic rebranding attempt by Marvel called Marvel Now. And this runs for 18 issues. So a whole year and a half that goes. And it gets us to Legacy issue number 751. And now the Legacy issues change to be from 751. Now we have 5 issues kind of stuck in here of a new title called Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows. And that follows Spider-Man, his wife Mary Jane, and their daughter Annie in this kind of alternate universe as they go around fighting bad guys and stuff. And so that only goes on for 5 issues. So that's 752 to 756 or whatever it is. Then in October of 2015, the all-new, all-different Marvel is launched. And now we start Volume 4 of Amazing Spider-Man, which, as you guessed it, issue number 1, again, or Legacy issue number 757. And then at that point, the Legacy issues numbers have continued. They've just kept that going since 757. Although, another curveball by Marvel, at issue number 801, Marvel rebooted ASM again at issue number 1 in Volume 5 as part of their Fresh Start campaign. But they simply added the Legacy numbering to the cover, as you can see here on issue number 33. Or is it 834? Who the heck knows? So there you go, guys. There is just kind of a, overview of the Marvel Amazing Spider-Man Legacy issue numbering, so that you can kind of know if you want to have all the Amazing Spider-Mans according to Marvel, that's what you need to have. And so I've been working on this, and so I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found it entertaining, and hopefully you learned something. We'll catch you soon, and no matter whether it's comics or cards or whatever you like to do, keep collecting.